this is part of the process. These things happen, and one just has to expect that there may be further such episodes. But what does it mean in terms of how markets now need to adjust their model of the availability of a vaccine before year end or into early 2021?
Yes, morning. So to reiterate what you've just said, I think that we need to take a step back here. And Astra has done the right thing by pausing the trial. It really just shows us this is the process of normal vaccine development, and we should be reassured that the checks and balances in the system are taking effect. In terms of timing, it's very difficult to know how long the pause will last. It depends on the outcomes of the findings of the Safety Review Board. It could be anything from weeks to months. But taking a step back and addressing your question of, the market expectations for vaccine release, I think, these are large-scale trials, the first time that we're seeing many new modalities in patients for the first time. So realistic expectations would suggest that the end of this year was always optimistic. There may still be the potential for early release in special populations, but the mass release and the broader distribution of these vaccines is more likely pushed out a little bit, and this just brings that reality back to the fore.
Let me ask a real layman's question here. Tara, we continue to see infections rise. There's still talk of the herd immunity issue and whether that ultimately is the end game here. Given that's the case, if the vaccines are delayed and delayed and delayed, ultimately does that mean we have to readjust earnings expectations for Astra and the other companies involved here? Because ultimately the infection will have outrun the vaccine. We may not need as many doses if we have effective herd immunity.
Yeah, so from an Astra perspective, they've been fairly clear that the valuation impact of the vaccine from their perspective is quite limited. They're distributing the vaccine at cost, so it has little impact on the valuation of Astra. The broader question is the relevance of a vaccine policy. It's probably unlikely that we'll get natural herd immunity in this way to a respiratory coronavirus. If you think about the influenza virus, we have annual boosters given the rate of mutation of this virus. And the expectation is that once we're outside of this pandemic envelope, we'll continue to need seasonal boosters because this virus, unfortunately, is here with us to stay.
Tara, we heard back in June from the CEO of AstraZeneca that they were beginning production of the vaccines, so that they would be ready to supply 2 billion doses once approvals had come through for the vaccine. So what happens now if there is a problem with the inoculation? Can they change this vaccine that's already been produced? It must be surely an enormous cost associated with any of these changes if they are required.
It's a great question. It's actually one of the hazards of vaccine development. Every year we begin production of the flu vaccine at risk, is the term used in the industry, because the strain has yet to be, or the antigens have yet to be fully defined. Could they change what they've already produced? It's unlikely they'd be able to tweak what's already in production. So it is indeed manufactured at risk, and if it was found to be unable to be used, then it would have been a sunk cost.